All in favor? It's approved on a 6-0 vote, and let the record reflect that Mr. Guines is out of the room. Okay, we'll call for the mayor's report. Mr. Mayor?
No report.
Thank you. Any council reports, Mr. Lawrence? Newman, McGilvery, Glavin, Shoemaker, and I have none. Thank you. Right here. Just that half. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we're here. If the clerk would read the item, the topic for discussion.
Public agenda.
Yeah, excuse me, I'm sorry. The public agenda. Are there any citizens' comments? Ms. Bell, anything?
I'll say something right quick. Senior games.
Come up to the mic.
We had our opening ceremonies this past Friday, and I want to thank those that attended. One of the comments that made was, how do you get your council members out to events to support Parks and Rec? So thank you. And then we have the celebration of athletes, which is a big one. We have 250 signed up for Friday night again, so if you're able to come, come. And then Saturday, we have 14 women's basketball teams, with 5 of them being out of Arkansas. And we're playing at the junior high, starting at 9.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Bell. There being no other comments, we'll move to the subject matter on the policy agenda. If the clerk would read that item, please.
Subject matter is to discuss Parks and Recreation Commission.
Thank you. All right, I can't recall. The motion was made by
Guines.
Yeah. So it's just up for it's just a meeting for discussion. Okay. So the administration had proposed combining the Beautification Commission and the Parks and Recreation Commission, and I know we had varied opinions up here about that. And I'm looking at. I have a thought about something else entirely, and if you just take one and pass the rest down, and this is probably going to be considered perhaps a little unorthodox. But I'm thinking if we had a parks, or combine the two, if you would, call it the Parks and Beautification Commission, and you may want to take a moment to look or just briefly review these 4 particular items. In effect, we'd create the Parks and Beautification Commission. It would be composed of 10 members. One of those would be the city arborist, who would be an employee of the city. 7 members would be appointed by the city council, 1 from each ward, obviously, and 2 at-large members appointed by the mayor. Each member would be appointed for a period of 3 years. Each member would be eligible for reappointment, and all of these members would serve without pay, except, of course, the arborist, who's an employee of the city. And the arborist would serve as the commission chairman. Under powers and duties generally, the Parks and Beautification Commission would serve as an advisory board to the governing authorities on all matters in the city concerning beautification of parks, playgrounds, community centers, and the visitor center. The commission will advise and coordinate with civic groups to conduct citywide anti-litter and cleanup campaigns. And the city arborist would be responsible for coordinating all the grass cutting schedules and plans of work associated with grass cutting in the city, in addition to his or her responsibilities as a city arborist. Now, this is significantly different than what was proposed. And we've heard so many comments over the years about grass cutting, and some of the grass is cut under contract, some is cut by the Parks and Recreation Department, some is cut by Public Works, and I'm told that the Port the Port Division also has mowing equipment. And my thinking was, if we just had all the grass cutting to be scheduled and coordinated under the direction of one individual, then personally, I don't know. I believe it would be more effective or efficient than what we have now, with different competing, I guess, priorities within the departments. But those would be the duties generally. Then under the rules of procedure, the Parks and Recreation Commission have the authority to make such bylaws for holding and conducting their meetings, and to provide wholesome and healthy parks and beautification activities to all citizens of the cities. 5 members of the commission shall constitute a quorum for the transaction of business, and an agenda for each meeting would be published on the city's webpage 72 hours before the meeting, and the minutes would be kept and posted on the city's webpage within 5 days of each meeting. Those days and minutes or hours are subject to future discussion. I just wanted to put something together, and this is my thinking, which may be sufficient or insufficient to serve the means of an advisory board. So I'm trying to kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. We still have Parks and Recreation. Obviously, we still have beautification, and all of this is tucked in here under the direction and supervision, more coordination of the city arborist, who would be a city employee. I don't know if we end up with this. I'm thinking if not, it's a good start. It may be subject to further discussion, but I'm certainly happy at this point to entertain thoughts. Mr. Lawrence, any on this topic, not just what I'm throwing out there for consideration, but anything related to.
Yeah, this is just something we're working on all this to see where we're going with it, what you're trying to do to it.
Right.
My question, like the chair, we have a lot of these things already in place, like cutting the grass, the visitor center, Old Keep, CP Museum, City Hall. They all seem always to be pretty, cut, and even the flowers are, nice. So
I have
what else
said-
what else would we need to do to make it any better?
Let me jump in for Sherry in this thing. This is a continual operational consideration. Now, this is the first I've heard of this, about this particular component. And it's been a complete evaluation of how we attack maintenance, how we attack the ongoing, what the arborist does is completely, different than what we have envisioned as far as combination of maintenance, combination of grants, the use of contract people to do things in a less than year-round basis. And so this is the first I've heard about that combination. I personally have looked, at a way to combine these things and tailor it specifically to the load that we have as we go through the year. So this is the first I've heard about this, and I would appreciate further discussion before you jump off and reorganize a component that's heavy duty with regard to labor intensive and costly situation. Now,
Sure.
Parks and the Parks Commission for advice, or the what you do to enhance the beauty, enhance the experience of parks, recreation, and whatever. But I do take a position that this is something that I need to explain what I've already done to this point. And so we got 3 or 4 months to decide before we're in the middle of a budget on where we go. Again, the arborist is a fluid position. We've had to bump up the money we had to get these people. So to jump off into a mode where we're throwing a lot of stuff, because he's got a load now. So again, I'm not upset, okay, but I'm telling you, this is completely first time I saw this.
Excuse me, you're correct. Nobody has seen this except me.
Yeah. So
And,
it
and
requires
again,
discussion.
all we're doing today is discussing
yeah.
this to kind of figure out the best way to resolve these concerns that we all have. So, nobody's seen it. It's just throw it out there, see what happens. We're not going to make any, yeah, we saw, and we're not going to make any decisions today. We're just discussing. Go ahead, Mr.
I
Leonard.
was curious, because this predates my time here, your time here, this commission.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if George remembers this commission. I asked Sherry Bell, who was here, what's the deal? Why do we not have this commission anymore? And her answer was, they just couldn't get along with each other. They couldn't decide on anything. They couldn't agree on anything.
That sounds like the council sometimes, huh?
Well, the
We're
point
still here, though. Go ahead.
I'm afraid it's a bureaucracy building drill. I think we're backing into another tree committee on steroids.
Okay. Any additional comments?
No, that's it for
Let
now.
me say, we don't want to create obstacles. I think that's his point. We want to be effective, and we want input, we want advice, and to push Biloxi further down to make it as best we can make it. And I just think I would be, very, very hesitant to try to fill these positions with people who could be effective and for 3 years or whatever. It's hard to put them together. I can take advice and again, from what we are responsible for the operations of all these components, from a budgetary standpoint, I just feel that it would be creating obstacles if it's too, cumbersome. Is that a word? Anyway, I ask to be cautious in what we do and not rush into what we do. And we're all in sync, in the next several months before July comes along, and we got something that we figure out we got to put some more horsepower and some resources to do.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Go ahead, Ms. Bell. Thank you for waiting patiently.
Okay. Well, I forgot what you had asked, but anyway, I have a beautification division under my department, and when I think about beautification, I think about the trash that's picked up, and we have a crew that goes and picks up trash. They'll come out on the weekends also at the main spots like the Lighthouse area, Miramar, all the places that get heavy. So I have that beautification crew right now, and they're working. I have a grass cutting crew that has a schedule of all the sites that they cut. They cut once or twice a week, depending on the areas. If they're large areas, 2 of the crews will come together and they'll get those cut. The only time we've ever gotten behind is weather. If it's bad and it's raining, and then I'll bring them in on the weekend. But other than that, I'm like the mayor. I think the grass cutting on my end is getting done. I mean, I'm proud of the people that and what they're doing, and they're also doing all the logistics, tables, tents, stage. They set up the civic center, so we're giving a lot, and I have good employees that are doing the job, and they keep within that schedule, and that helps a lot.
All right, thank you, Ms. Bell. Mr. Lawrence, any other?
Well, so that's what I was saying. I thought most of our buildings are kept up pretty well. So we're doing that now. I don't think we need another group of somebody else to come in and tell us anything. We got a problem, we need to call you. Okay, this is not clean, take care of the problem. And I don't think we need another commission or anything else. I think this should handle in-house without any changes. I don't see any changes. That's just my opinion, I know Paul he always put together a nice list to look at things and stuff like that. And I'm like you at the office, he's got enough going on to put him under this way. He's got to handle all that. That's a lot.
It's always good if you can get extra people.
Right.
I'm not going to say it wouldn't help. I would love that, and it would take on, we could take on more as far as litter and all and beautification, but they're doing their job.
And then if we got a problem, now we got to call you.
Y'all
parks look well,
always do,
everything
and then I
looks-
try to keep y'all abreast of what's going on.
Yeah, that's all, Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. Ms. Newman, anything?
I agree that what we don't need is another group of individuals that, just cause issues. However, I do see the benefit of having a beautification committee of volunteers that are actually going to also be out there picking up trash and helping plant new landscaping here and there. And so basically have people over in areas, say in their ward, and that is their area. So that means say my ward, me, them, Sherry Bell, we are over that section. We, do what we got to do to keep the area clean, pick up the trash, plant certain areas. Hey, Sherry Bell, it would be really nice for this area here to have some landscaping and be much more, pleasing. And that I think could take real effect, and we could have a volunteer from a certain business, and we can as a city advertise that business as well, so that way they're getting some benefit to actually want to benefit their city as well as their business. And I think that would really make some difference. And not only that, if we beautify the city, we're going to have more businesses want to invest in this city, because if we take pride in it, then they're going to be like, oh, okay, because that's where everybody wants to live, that's where everybody wants to invest. So I think if we're going to do this, we need people that are going to actually be in the nitty gritty. They're going to have an area where they're going to take pride in it and be like, okay, this is my area, it's going to look good, I'm going to invest in it. And they can reach out to me, they can reach out to Sherry Bell, and we're a team, and we're going to have these areas that we, so if the area is not looking good, then it's like, okay, what are you doing? Because that's your job, that's your area, and it's trash here, trash there, we have no landscaping over here, what are you doing? We have no plan. That's what I think I would like to see.
Well, we just need to make sure, because if it's not getting done, it's all gonna come back on Parks and Rec, so to say. So they would have to.
Well, again, yeah, I don't want a group of people that are just gonna be like, no, it's your area, and first, we're gonna go to you and be like, hey, what are you doing, You're supposed to be volunteering, picking up trash and this and that, and then we're the resources and we can help as well. But that is their area. And if they're not doing their job, then we need to get someone else or what have you. But I don't like to have a group of people that, but also I like the fact that it's not going to be falling just on us.
Right.
Okay, we're putting people in place to help us, and that is their job, they are volunteered for that area. So it doesn't fall completely on us. We have a group of people throughout the city now that can help us, because we have other jobs as well, but that is theirs, and they can get in contact with us. Hey, blah blah blah. And I think that it could make a huge impact for the whole city as a whole if we had that going in place.
Let me kind of, a thought that you brought up, different wards have different desires, with regard to parks, recreation, and these other things. It may be you'll have a team within your ward that comprises, what to work with our departments in order to get what you've been told and what and the people that have volunteered and experienced. So it may be a little bit different approach to organization of these parks and beautification attacks, because
That's basically what I'm saying. But if I'm the only one that's doing it,
no,
then,
but you'll have other people who have different pitches to to your ward to say, okay, this is important. Now you have 4 or 5 people, maybe heavy into the sports, heavy into the beautification, heavy into maintenance.
well, it's all of it, yeah.
Yeah, so it'll vary, because to get 10 people in parks and 10 people in beautification and keep them engaged and without creating a ball that gets tangled up. There may be an idea there that you get your team together, and then we'll put an organization that really, because it's going to come back to the council to do the real deal when it comes to budget and operations. So this investigation is.
But again, that's why they're going to be volunteering as well.
Right.
They're not going to just tell us, oh, do this and do that and spend the money. No,
but if they
you need to
really
get out there yourself as well. Get another
you-
team to help you if that's the case.
It's
Get
your
the community involved.
designation to serve on my team, Ward 3 or 4 or 5, and say, okay, this is what I'm expecting you to do, and this is what the result of working with the other wards on to come here to see where the money and the load and those kinds of things can come from to accomplish what they've already identified was important to your ward. I don't know if that,
Mayor, isn't there a Harrison County Beautification Commission that we could work with?
Well, it is, but I don't know what their what their role would be, but we all need to,
I know Kevin Felcher sits
if
on
it's
the.
Highway 90, if some of the things that I think Dan Cuevas has done with regard to palm trees and lights and stuff like that is worth, but we need to be able to interact with them, you know, whose ward does it fall in, and just who's going to chase that problem.
Be assisted with that
I
cleanup.
mean, yeah, like I said, this would be the first iteration of what we need to hammer out, and it's
And
not
this-
going to be quick.
And this group too would be over like, the homes that are being overgrown and not looking good in the neighborhoods.
Identify them, yeah.
Then we'll mow the grass or, something needs to be done, As a city as a whole, we need to, have more pride in these issues that we have, So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, like weekend trash on Dixie Day. It's trash and we're on it on Monday, but we can't be there every day and on the weekend.
Thank you, Ms. Newman. Mr. McGilvery, any observations or comments?
Just a few. I fully agree with what was just mentioned. I fully agree with the mayor talking about it and what you had mentioned, Mr. President, that we don't need two committees combining the both. And I think if we're real selective in picking the people that will be members and let them fully understand what they're going to be involved in, and I think if we're carefully and we do that and we get a commitment from whoever volunteers, I think that'll be a win-win for that group as putting the team together. It's just a win-win situation to have a volunteer group to work with Sherry's crew there and all through the city. And I just think it's a great idea, as I mentioned 2 or 3 months ago, because I had several people in Ward 4 call me when this issue had first been mentioned, and they were ready to jump on board, and hopefully maybe in the other wards we could have the same enthusiasm. And again, I think if we get the right folks, explain to them in detail, this is what's going to happen and how it's going to work, and hopefully we can get 7 or 8 or whatever the number's going to be to accomplish that. That's my points.
Thank you, Mr. McGilvery. Mr. Glavin, any observations or comments?
Thank you, Mr. President. There's 7 council members up here, and you saw the dynamics today kind of unfold with our mayor, so I can only imagine putting this committee together of 10 or however many it is. On paper, it looks good, but I would really be careful about hastily trying to put something together just to say we have a beautification or a parks commission or what have you. Couple of things that come to mind. 2 of the most successful community activist groups have been the Friends of Hiller Park and the Biloxi Bombers. That didn't require any Parks and Rec Commission or beautification member. It took a group of motivated men and women to get together to want to make a difference. And that kind of, what I envision is the model. Councilman McGilvery said he has people raring to go in Ward 4. Nothing is stopping. Having a Parks and Rec Commission or beautification commission doesn't stop that enthusiasm or that will to make a difference, just as it didn't stop Friends of Hiller Park or the Biloxi Bombers. I think that is kind of the roadmap. We got history of what happens when you put these commissions or groups together, what that internal conflict can be counterproductive. And so we need to be very, very careful when we assimilate, if this does go forward, how that is assimilated, and certainly not hastily just to say we got to do this by this date or else. I like the framework, trying to get the framework of something together, but then you got to put the people in place, and then how do those people coexist for a goal, and do they fracture and go off in different directions, and now you got something that is stalling, and then you get people to say, well, I don't want to serve anymore, and they jump ship, and then you're left with a skeleton of something that we wanted to create that was worthwhile. So I'm having a hard time trying to go on the short term, trying to say I support something in the short term. I think it's going to take a little bit of time, and I'm talking months, to put something together to make sure we got it right. And I don't even know if we can get it right when you're talking about putting 10 people on a Parks and Rec committee. You're not talking about a tree, which is emotional enough. You're talking about kids, and my kids or my grandkids or my nieces or my nephews, or I'm a coach, and all the adrenaline that comes with that, and which can be fantastic if you have the right element, but it can be certainly disastrous if we don't. So I guess what I'm trying to say, I'm not supportive of this because we're still trying to solve homeless stuff. We're still trying to take care of, issues that are big issues before us, and I think we can accomplish it by that enthusiasm. Again, my colleagues have mentioned that they have in their community, but when you set a monster in motion, or it could become a monster, then you got to fight that monster sometimes. So that's my 2 cents. I hate to say, because I'm not a negative person. I'm usually, the one who's, kind of saying we're going to win and it's sun shining and all that kind of stuff. But I do see some big traps here and that we can get ourselves into. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Glavin. Mr. Shoemaker?
Just a couple of things. Director Bell, I know I heard what you said about the grass cutting, but just curious, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but what are your thoughts on the rest of minus the grass cutting and having a committee?
I would say, as far as having committee for grass cutting, I don't think you can, because.
Yeah, no, I mean, not with grass cutting, just on the other part of it, or anything that a committee.
They would just have to know that they're an advisory. I mean, like Ward 4 you was talking about, okay, well, then let's go to this playground, we're going to keep it clean, every month we're going to be there. That's how I envision that happening if they want to volunteer. I've had people reach out for the dog park, go to them, oh no, I'm not doing it, it's too hot. So, give or take.
Right.
We've had the community market at Beck Park, the gardens. After 2 months, it went down, because they have to be motivated and they have to be committed to be a part of any advisory board.
Right. And I do agree with what Councilman Glavin said, that I think it's definitely going to take some time looking at it and discussing and coming up with some different ideas. I don't think it's something we can do overnight. But I would love to talk about it more and come up with ideas and hear what everybody else has to say at some point as well. That's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. President,
All right.
I'd like to just
Thank you.
throw something,
Yes,
another
Mr.
idea.
Mayor.
I'm just shooting from the hip here, but there are a couple of kind of two attacks: strategic, long-term; tactical, grass, to clean this. So I mean, I think we need to understand the difference. The long play. What do we envision as far as the use, the parks? Or do we need more or less, or do we need, what is the 5-year plan, 6-year plan, where these parks and beautification, can have some valid input. And then there's some tactical things. Hey, what things that need to be done immediately. So I mean, that's two aspects of this whole. Parks and Recreation Commission idea is good, but it's almost like having a baby: easy to conceive, hard to deliver.
Ta-dum-bum. All right, and I think we're drawing this workshop to a close. My general take, correct me if I'm wrong, is this was subject to call, and it sounds like everybody wants to just leave it on the table right now, and maybe there's more discussion in the future. But I think more thought's required. I appreciate everybody's input. Is there any other comments associated with this topic before we adjourn?
That's good enough.
I will say, if any of you all have and want to do a cleanup, just, give me a call within your ward, and we'll do what we got to do, provide shovels, rakes, anything like that. Just give me a call.
Okey-doke. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lawrence, a second by Mr. McGilvery. All in favor? Aye. All right, that's approved on a 6-0 vote, and we'll call it 3:30. Thank you, everybody, for attending. We're adjourned. Our next council meeting is next Tuesday at 1:30.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Brother Paul.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
See you tonight. 6 o'clock.
Seems like we just saw each other.
I heard that. Keep your fingers crossed.
That'll be fine. It's like going to the